My name's Phillip Bynoe. I'm a bassist originally from Boston, Massachusetts. Been living here in California for almost 20 years. Come from a family of musicians. I went to Berklee College and played in the Boston music scene with a number of artists, Charlie Farron, Rick Berlin, and World Premiere, on and on and on, all through the annals of Boston lore. During that time, I ran into a drummer named Mike Mangini, and he, of course, has gone on to play with Extreme and Dream Theater and a bunch of other artists. He's a wonderful musician. Years go by, he ends up doing some recording for an artist named Steve Vai. Steve had mentioned to him that he was going to be putting together a tour band, and he said that, well, I have a friend who's a bassist that you should hear. So, cut to the audition process. I get to audition for Steve, and it comes down to between myself and one other guy, and I managed to edge him out. And from there, I've been playing with Steve off and on now since '96. And from there, I was able to work with a guy named Kevin Eubanks and ended up achieving one of my all-time goals, which was to play on The Tonight Show and The Tonight Show Band. My dad and I would always talk about, the gigs to have. And he would always talk about, if you can get on that Tonight Show and you can get in that chair, then, you've made it. I also played with, did some studio work with a guy named Slash, who you might know from a band called Guns N' Roses, just to pick that name up for you. I work with an artist named Steve Pfister, who's a rock blues artist. I've been playing with him for a number of years. The list goes on, and it's been a really fun ride so far. I've just finished up a session with an artist named Darrell Dexter working on his new record using this Music Man StingRay bass, which I just got. It's a wonderful instrument. Well, Music Man products, I'm a Music Man endorsee. I play the bongo basses, and StingRay is synonymous. I would say it's their flagship. It's one of their, it's the bass that everybody, when you talk about Music Man as far as bass players, you're thinking Louis Johnson, and the list goes on and on from different guys who've used it, but it has its own unique sound. But with this bass, with its 5-position switch, you can get a number of different kind of tones with it, and it's a really flexible bass. I started using them in 2012 when I was out on the Story of Light tour with Steve Vai. Their player rec Derek Brooks came to my rehearsal and brought some basses for me to try, and I just really was in love with the feel and how they played and how, how I guess just the tone of the instrument just by itself, because you can plug basses into pedals now and this and simulation and all that stuff, but when I take a bass and plug it direct into the amp and just play it flat and it sounds really great, that's kind of what for me, the Music Man basses are. You plug them in, they sound good, and they feel good. When I received the bass the bass came today, I took it in and did a little playing with the bridge adjustment, made it so it was really, really nice and playable. And going in the studio, going and playing, because usually when you record bass, you're going direct. So you're going to hear every particular noise that the thing makes, and there's no noise up and down the neck, just going direct into the instrument, right onto the player format, whether you're doing Pro Tools or tape. You hear what comes out of the bass is what gets put on the tape, and also what comes out of the bass is what comes out of the amp. As a freelance musician, you're going to get opportunities to play all different styles of music, and you have to be ready to be on your toes, and your instrument has to be able to be as flexible with that as well. The Music Man basses for me are able to do that. They have an 18-volt pickup preamp in the bass, so coming out of the bass, it's pretty jacked. It's a full sound, and whether playing jazz, you can just with these because it has a complete EQ system on it. The 5-position switch takes you through double humbucker to single coil to any kind of bass configuration you can need to create any kind of sound you want. Whether from playing Latin music, I can get that kind of, that if I'm playing traditional Latin, I can get that thumpy thing, or if I was just playing the slap thing for some exotic kind of funk thing. all that, or if I'm playing a jazz thing. It still sounds like a Music Man, but it'll also simulate the sound that you're looking for to create any kind of space sound you need. Pitbull Audio, taking someone like myself, I'm just a freelance bassist. I've had some success, played with some successful guys, but I'm not the guy that you would interview normally. You'd interview Steve Vai, you'd interview Slash, you'd interview the Nathan Wong, you'd interview the guys whose names are on the product. So a company like Pitbull Audio taking and doing these artist profiles and taking the guys that are sort of, maybe, as I say, 10 feet away from stardom, that's a really big thing for me. So what's next for me? I'm excited about continuing to play different kinds of music, different genres of music, and taking studio opportunities whenever they come up. I'm looking maybe to do some teaching. I'd like to help some other musicians out. And I don't say that to be boastful, but I think that as musicians, we can all help each other out. We can all learn from each other. So I'm excited to learn from other musicians and to help other bass players as well. I'm open to whatever the next opportunity is. Well, hey, that's enough about me. I just want to thank Pitbull Audio, Music Man, and Ernie Ball for giving me this wonderful bass to play on this thing. And look forward to seeing you all somewhere, somehow.